What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be discussing injector cups, symptoms, what to look out for, preventive maintenance, different styles on different engines. Some of them are serviceable, some of them aren't. Let me know where you're watching from. If you want to share anything in the comments, chat's going to be live the whole time. If you're feeling generous, use that super chat. If you got any questions, let me know in the chat and I'll do my best to get to them and get them addressed. If you want to add anything about these injector cups, let me know. We're running a discount this month. TAT 20. Come and see us for 10% off next service to the end of the month. Give us a shout, 972-225-3017. My details are in the description box. All our contact information is down there. We also offer a fleet service. If you guys looking for someone that you need to lean on during these holiday seasons, we'll be more than happy to help you. We're going to get this show started off pretty quickly. As I mentioned, we're going to be discussing injector cups. Let me know where you're watching from, guys. Make sure to hit that like button. All right, so we're going to get this show started here shortly. TAT 20, I'm sorry, put TAT 10, TAT 20 for 10% discount. We're going to be discussing injector cups today. A few things we're going to be discussing here. Let me pull it up. All right, we're going to be discussing what injector cups are, what they do, the importance of them. We're going to talk about warning signs. We're going to talk about the impact of ignoring symptoms, serviceable versus non-serviceable injector cups. There's different engine models that have different types. Some injector cups are replaceable, some aren't. Which design is better? The pros and cons of each one, maintenance tips, best practices, and then we're going to have any questions. If you got any questions, I'll make sure to answer them. Hit us up in the chat if you got any questions about your truck. But let's get this show started. I'm going to pull up some information here. Hope you guys are doing well today. We're going to get started here. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about injector cups. Make sure everyone can hear us just fine. Here we go. Turn this background music down a little bit. So it's been a long day today. We had a lot of recording done. I had a few comments come in on the channel. One guy was at the he said he was at the dealer dealing with an after treatment problem, and it was pretty unfortunate. He said that the dealer was pretty backed up. Looks like he was up in New York. Let me pull that back up before we get the show started. So he was saying that where is he at? He says he's currently stuck in New York with DPF issues. The dealer cannot get to him until 2 weeks. And he says the EPA has create some room for us, and the systems are complicated. So shout out to I don't want to mess that name up, but hopefully you can get that looked at a little bit quicker. The first thing that came to my mind when I saw that the dealer's not getting to you or they're backed up, I would like to understand what the maintenance looks like on that system, because a lot of times when we have DPF issues that come up and we have a truck that comes in, there is a lot of maintenance that's backed up, whether it's valve adjustments or the filter that is regular need to be replaced at 400,000 miles or washed. Those items aren't really taken care of properly or idling. And I'm not saying that's your case, but it would be interesting to know what your maintenance looks like, and keeping up with those records will help you kind of prevent those things from happening. Let me fix this back here. Sorry, I thought this was lined up. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Let me line this up here so you can see where we're at. We're in the heart of Texas, guys. Heart of Texas. If you're coming down, TAT Express, come check us out. What's up, Trugging Life? How you doing? So let's get started on these injector cups. What is an injector cup and what does it do? We've got some images here of what injector cups are. So I'll give you, this is some pulled out right here. This is some injector cups. This is off of Volvo D13. Now, if you guys don't know who I am, this is the first time you tuning in. I'm Adam with TAT Express. I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran. I've been working on diesel engines for over 2 decades. I've been dealing with them before after treatment systems, pre-emissions. We were working on them, the introduction of the DD15, all the different developments of all the models across all platforms. And we were able just kind of see, even with the eliminations, the different type of eliminations and modifications a lot of people were trying to do. So I have a lot of experience in the field. So today I'm going to be just discussing injector cups. This is a very common problem that comes up on diesel engines. And what do injector cups do exactly? The tips of the injector is going to, this cup here is actually upside down, but the injector cups are designed to cool the tip of the injector. These tips here are where the injector tip rests, and around there it's gonna be surrounded with coolant. The coolant is supposed to keep those injector tips cool, and the reason why they're in place is, as I mentioned in a lot of my videos, the diesel engines are ignited by thermal combustion, which means that when it compresses the massive amount of air in the compression stroke, it ignites the diesel just from pure heat. So when that happens and you're dealing with these large engines like this, of course these engines are massive torque monsters, so it's a lot of energy and a lot of heat. So what these cups are designed to do is keep the tips cool during these operations, because they're the closest to the injector tip is of course the closest to the combustion process, so it's going to be experiencing very, very high heat. So this is what cups are made for. This is why they were designed. They're gonna be installed on the cylinder head, in the cylinder head, and the injector is going to be installed in the cup, and that cup is supposed to keep the injector tips warm. So what happens over time, of course, with coolant, some particular ones like this one will have O-rings, different ones are sealed. This one here is pressed in. So when we're doing services on these particular injector cups, we are using tools like, let me give you an example of what we use. I was going to give you a more breakdown of what the injector cup and how the injector cup sits in there, but give me 1 second. So when you do these services on these particular cups, this cup is actually whenever it's installed, we use a tool and it has a bit on it, and this bit pretty much just expands the tip of this injector cup. And this is a tool back here, so whenever it actually expands this, when we install it, it's prying itself into the bore. So, and other models have injector cups that actually screw in, which is DD15 has some injector cups that were serviceable, and you would have to screw those in. Some models will not be serviceable. If you do have injector cups that go bad or fail, then you would have to actually replace the whole head, which is something that a lot of people, you want to avoid this. We're going to be talking about preventive maintenance here later on in the broadcast. Here's a picture of the actual tool in the process. So this tool fits in between these injector cups. There's a bit that goes at the end of this cup. So once this is pried down with you can see the injector bolt hold down. That's holding this tool in place. So when this tool is held in place like so, and you turn the bit, and the bit's being pulled up, and it expands the bore area here of the injector cup, and that's how it's installed. So having proper tools and actually understanding how these engines are set up, because when you do install these, if you have, for example, your piston at top dead center, you can actually hit the piston and damage the piston. The bore bolt, the bit on this tool here can hit the top of the piston and cause damage. Of course, if the piston's at top dead center and you're forcing this tool down, it can push down on the top of that piston and cause some damage. And since we're dealing with thermal combustion and all these little everything is such as specs that if you cause any damage, it could cause some of these pistons are dealt with swirl design. So if you damage the top of that piston, you'll be affecting the design of the piston on how it swirls, and it's supposed to keep everything running smoothly, but you'll notice low pressure. So there's just chances of causing damage. So let me keep on moving here on these injectors cups. So that's the purpose of the injector cups. They're to keep the injector tips warm. Engines that use injector cups are going to be pretty much every engine out there. The DD15 has injector cups, D13. All of these trucks have injector cups, whether they're serviceable or not. That's where we start coming into questions. The importance of maintenance on these, because we're gonna talk about the importance of maintenance. Why regular inspection and maintenance is critical. Risk of neglecting injector cups' health, contaminating, leading to engine damage, reduced fuel economy, and performance. So if you do have a suspected injector cup failure, it's definitely advisable to get it checked out right away, because what they do, since they're running so close to the combustion process, any kind of failure causing aerated fuel, whether it's aerated fuel or contamination, cross contamination, prolonging it and keep running it in those particular conditions will definitely cause some problems in the long run. So what I would suggest, if you do suspect injector cup problems, which now we're going to be talking about warning signs, common symptoms for failing injector cups. If you have any kinds of symptoms that I'm about to mention, be sure to get it checked out. So visible symptoms are going to be white or blue smoke from exhaust. Okay, fuel in the coolant reservoir or coolant in the fuel tanks. That's a very common problem you'll see, especially with the DD15s. You'll see where the coolant and the fuel starts the coolant and the fuel starts to mix, and you'll see it in the reservoir. You'll start seeing it build up in there where it's kind of black. So if you guys are dealing with any kind of these signs, be sure to get it checked out. Other symptoms are going to be engine misfires, rough idles, or difficulty starting. Now with the D13 Volvo, that particular engine has a symptom of a hard start, very often hard start. So that's really common for that particular engine. Now, if you can have these same type of problems with any truck that you're dealing with. So another problem that will give you some indicators, some diagnostic indicators that aren't visual, is loss of power or reduced fuel efficiency. Most of the time, whenever you're dealing with a semi truck, as a truck owner, as an operator, since you're spending the most time with these trucks, what I always recommend to the drivers is find your baseline miles per gallon, how much you're consuming per mile. Find that baseline and keep that recorded. That's going to be your baseline health of your truck. So if you're going down from there, then you're definitely going to have to get something looked at. Maybe it's maintenance, fuel filter change, anything like that. If you start dropping significantly, it's definitely something to look into. So loss of power, reduced efficiency, these are all items you want to look for. Error codes, in some cases, a truck will throw an error code for your fuel injection or cooling system. Shout out to everyone that's joined us this evening. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button to make sure you're notified anytime we go live. If you're in the DFW area and you're looking for service, give us a shout, 972-225-3017. We're set up with all this proper diagnostic tools and procedures to get you back on the road quick. Give us a shout, 972-225-3017. We're running a promotion, TAT 20 for 10% discount on your first service. Guys, if you got any questions, hit us up in the chat. We're going to continue going. Hope everyone's doing well out there. I know that we're dealing with a little bit of trying to get back on track with freight. I know that the market's been kind of goofy. Hopefully with Papa Trump in the house, he can get some kind of movement and some better rates out there, because I know we're dealing with some not the best rates that we used to deal with. So let's keep on moving along. The impact of ignoring symptoms, even though we might not be at the peak season right now, ignoring symptoms is definitely going to cause you to have further issues. You can cause injectors to fail when you can just replace cups. You can actually have issues with, if you have cross contamination in the oil, you can definitely cause fuel going into your oil definitely will have some issues there. So the long-term effect is, as I mentioned, increased repair costs due to extensive damage and potential catastrophic engine failure. If you have cross-contamination and you're running it for a very long time, you're either contaminating the coolant. When you contaminate the coolant with fuel or anything that's just not supposed to be in there, you're reducing the properties on. So if the engine can actually overheat, cause some major problems. So I would not run these trucks when you're having injector cup problems. So next, I want to discuss serviceable versus non-serviceable injector cups. Okay, engine models, they're all different engine models, and some cups are serviceable and some of them are not, which means if you have bad injector cups on your truck, and depends on what model you have, you won't be able to replace those cups. You have to actually replace the head. Engines like the DD15 or the Volvo D13. These are serviceable injector cups depending on what model. Okay, the advantages of these types are easier to replace during routine maintenance, lower cost for repair when caught early. So that's the benefit of having these types of serviceable injector cups, is because they will go bad over time. We're going to discuss maintenance later on in the show, so that if you follow these preventive maintenance, hopefully you can prolong your injector cups. But as I mentioned, they're going through so much heat. These engineers understand that these injector cups will go bad. So serviceable ones are actually preferable over non-serviceable ones. Now, not all the time you can choose that one. So non-serviceable injector cups would be the engines for Cummins ISX, some PACCAR engines. So I don't like that about PACCAR already coming out like this with non-serviceable injector cups. Cummins, they have a fix for it where they're jamming in a larger O-ring to try to slow it down, but it's not a guarantee fix. We have done this procedure a few times and it does work, but as I mentioned, if it doesn't guarantee to fix it, then you would have to replace the head. But some of the models are still coming out with different fixes, like the Cummins, as I mentioned. The advantages of non-serviceable is it's an integrated design, so it minimizes part counts, potential fewer failure points. So that is a benefit of non-serviceable injector cups. So if you have an engine with non-serviceable cups, the advantages there is that you have a lower potential of failure. So that's good. You know, it's less moving parts. The drawback is the entire cylinder head must be replaced when damaged. That's really where it's kind of the kicker there, because since they're not serviceable and you have to replace this, and they do go bad on you, replacing the head is a lot of work. I mean, it can definitely get done. It's not something that most shops cannot handle, but the cost of that repair from just replacing injector cups changes from very cheap to very expensive, because now you're replacing the entire cylinder head, which not only involves more parts, but a lot more labor as well compared to just doing cups. Cups you can probably do. I mean, you won't be able to push the truck out the same day, but you can probably get it tore down and close to completion, maybe in a day, and then in the morning wrap it up and get it started up. So probably the max around 2 days. Technicians, we're going to try to get it done a little bit faster, but be sure to take your time. You don't want to overlook anything. You're dealing with very sensitive components. When we were at our old location, which is off of 45, and there was a guy named OK Buy. Shout out to OK Buy. He tried to do mechanic work and shadowing us, and he had some mechanics that really were just learning off of I don't know how. They really didn't have any proper training, but in one case they damaged one of their own trucks trying to fix it on their own. So I'm only sharing this with you because you don't want to try to do these on your own if you're not familiar with the processes. So this guy would try to open up his own shop, and he was basically just throwing whoever was up for the challenge to tear these trucks down, put them to work to try to get them to do these types of jobs. In this particular case, they replaced the injector cups and it caused a big major damage. So we had to fix it, which ended up costing even more because it ended up damaging the cam. Any of these engines that deal with overhead cams, you can burn cams up pretty easily. I don't know what really happened. The installation process wasn't correct, so I believe coolant got a lot of coolant got into the oil system and just kind of just contaminated everything and just caused a big mess. So definitely be careful when you're dealing with these types of repairs. Appreciate everyone that's joined us. This is Sunday and evening broadcast, a little late, 7 p.m. Gonna wrap this up once I'm covering up everything. Usually we get some questions in, but probably everyone's on watching the Cowboys or whoever they want to watch today. I don't know if sports are still on. Either way, let's keep on moving. Let's talk about maintenance tips. Before we move on, since I'm asking the audience, if you guys got any questions, make sure to hit us up in the comment section. Either way, I wanted to follow up with the last broadcast that we had because I wasn't able to cover injector cups. So I'm hoping you're able to get some information out of today's broadcast if you're dealing with injector cups issues. If you're watching this on the playback, make sure to hit us up in the comment section. So next we're going to talk about maintenance tips and best practices. Tips for maintaining injector cups. Regular inspection during injector service. So you don't really pull an injector cup out to inspect it. The only thing you can do is keep up with your fuel filter replacement. Also, ensuring that your coolant is being replaced once a year, and keeping an eye on that coolant reservoir and your MPGs. If you have any kind of delayed starts or hard starts, those are all little symptoms. Use OEM parts when replacement. This particular D13 Volvo has two style cups on them. This is one of the only engines that will have two different cups on them. So you want to, one cup is not better than the other. There's the copper cup and the steel cup, stainless steel cup. One of them is not better than the other, although on the newer model engines, the cups are stainless. So I think that's like the upgraded. But when you're working on an engine, you got to go with the same parts. So make sure you're using OEM parts, you're using OEM tools, not using aftermarket parts to replace these engine components. Never go aftermarket when you're dealing with internal engine components. You definitely can have some problems. And Volvo has a lot of problems with their parts as well. So, I mean, either way, just you have a better chance of getting a solid repair done using OEM parts. As I mentioned, the right tools and diagnostic methods for identifying injector cup problems. I did a broadcast about injector cup troubleshooting on the Volvo D13, and what I was on those particular jobs, you got to make sure you have all the right tools to troubleshoot it. In some cases, some of these injector cup failures will be very obvious, like the coolant contamination that you can see in the coolant reservoir. But in some cases, like a Volvo, you definitely have to have the right tools to troubleshoot them. Guys, if you're in the DFW area and you're looking for a solid shop, if you have injector cup problems or any clutch problems, if you're a fleet that needs help getting work out during the holidays, we offer fleet service. We can get you handled. We offer any service that you need, after treatment service, injector cup service. We have all the tools, get you in and out as fast as possible. And this month we're running a discount, TAT 20 for a 10% discount till the end of this month. We're in December 2024. Give us a shout. Star Trucking's in the house. What's up, man? Says, what does injector cups usually start to go out on a DD15? I just hit close to 800,000 miles. How often? Okay, so what the good thing about it, DD15, some of them are non-serviceable injector cups, which will lower the chances of you having failed injector cups. So injector cups usually are not going to be something that you're going to service at an interval. You usually just try to keep maintenance on them by keeping up with your coolant changes, making sure your fuel filters are changed out regularly. And that's going to be your best bet to keep those moving. If you're already at 800,000 miles and you haven't had cup failures, it's pretty solid. DD15 and ISX15, some of these trucks that don't have serviceable injector cups will last longer than others. So it's not something that you have to replace on a regular basis, like at an interval. They do go out. It is an often repair, but it's not something that you're gonna do as a preventive maintenance. But all you can do for preventive maintenance is keep an eye on it If you do suspect injector cups, if you have any of the symptoms that I've mentioned in the broadcast, be sure to get that checked out, because as I mentioned, the longer you prolong those repairs, the more chances that it's possible that you can cause the repair to go to a lot more than just replacing cups. So coolant, fuel contamination, that's really what's going to be killing these injector cups. Making sure you use the right shop when you are getting this type of service done. One thing I wanted to mention here is, you mentioned that the mileage, at what miles. I do have a breakdown here of what we have here on mileage here. So let me look this up real quick. So injector cups are usually, as I mentioned, if they're gonna go out, if you're around where you're at now, if you haven't had issues before, you should definitely just keeping up with maintenance. Let me see here. I had some mileage breakdown. Let me pull that back up here. Shout out to everyone that's joined us today. We've got some new videos coming out on a transmission for these automated systems. I've been getting a lot of information, or a lot of questions about the automated system. So I got some good videos coming out this week, and it's going to be discussing a few things. It's going to be discussing driver tips on how to drive an automated system. It's going to be talking about maintenance tips, and it's also going to give you just a heads up on what to look for if you're dealing with automated system. So So when we look for mileage, usually around, I would say around anything over 500,000 miles is kind of where injector cups start giving you some problems. As I mentioned, you got any kind of coolant contamination, check the coolant reservoir for signs of diesel fuel or discoloration, which could indicate leaking injector cups. Exhaust smoke, excessive white or blue smoke from the exhaust might be a sign of fuel mixing with coolant or improper fuel atomization due to cup damage. So fuel atomization is the mist that diesel fuel turns into in the process of the injector. So injector cups, damaged injector cups or bad injector cups can disrupt that, and that's where you're going to get low power as well. You can have engine misfires, rough idling. Listen for unusual noises or vibrations that can indicate fuel delivery issues related to injector cups. Loss of coolant or fuel. Monitor fluid levels regularly. Unexplained losses could indicate a leak caused by faulty injector cups. Pressure testing them as well. In some of these cases, we can pressure test these cups to make sure that they are bad. When you do that, make sure that you install the injector hold down bolt, because these heads will have fittings in there that can be damaged if you aerate the system without putting these injector hold down bolts back down. Drivers can request pressure tests during shop visits to detect internal leaks caused by damaged injector cups. Encourage drivers to report these symptoms in their shop immediately to avoid costly repairs. So guys, if you're dealing with any of these types of issues, be sure to get that reported, because you don't want to be dealing with this on a prolonged time. Having to replace injectors just causing a lot more problems. So that's the importance of proactive maintenance with these injector cups. I know that it's kind of like, since they're so buried into the engine, it's really tough to pinpoint when they're gonna fail. So I couldn't give you a mileage. So all I can do is just give you some information on preventive maintenance. Shout out to everyone that's joined us this evening. I hope you were able to take something off this broadcast. We talked about the symptoms to look out for, so act immediately if you have any issues. If you're looking for a shop, give us a shout, 972-225-3017. We talked about the pros and cons of serviceable and non-serviceable injector cups. The ones that are serviceable, okay, yeah, it's cheaper to get them replaced when they do go bad, but the ones that are non-serviceable tend to last a little bit longer. So Either way, when injector cups fail on the serviceable one or non-serviceable one, you're having to replace the head. So there are some pros and cons on each one. If you guys got any questions, make sure to hit me up in the chat. If you're watching this video after it's broadcast, you weren't able to catch this live broadcast, make sure to hit that like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you're notified when we go live and you can actually join these lives. Hit us up in the chat. And if you're playing this on the replay later on, hit us up in the comment section. Make sure to share your comments and your experience below. Stacks, thank you. Mines is a 2016. Appreciate you for joining us. Yeah, man, if you don't really have any of these warning signs that I mentioned in the broadcast, I wouldn't worry about replacing them. Just keeping up with maintenance, replacing your coolant once a year, keeping up with your fuel filter replacement. Watch now where you're fueling at. I mentioned in some of my other broadcasts because you really want to be careful during these hot and cold seasons, or we're really getting into the real cold season. So condensation is a killer. Condensation in your fuel, condensation in your air. Draining your air tanks is very important to do that daily now, since we're having these really cold weather. And also the condensation in your fuel tanks. When you build up a lot of condensation in your fuel, you can have problems with cups as well. So what I always recommend to drivers is running your fuel tanks during the cold season at least half a tank. That way you have less surface space inside the tank to cause condensation. If you can run it higher than that, go ahead. Guys, appreciate everyone that's joined us. Stacks, appreciate you joining us. Hopefully I was able to ease a little bit of the worry. I mean, you probably have that particular year model is non-serviceable injector cups, so those tend to last a lot longer. But just keeping up with your maintenance. Hey, let me know what you guys think about this evening's broadcast. If you rather have the broadcast earlier throughout the day, let me know. Let me know what you think about this topic. If you're watching this on the rerun, be sure to hit us up in the I was reading the comment. What's the purpose of a live stream? It's really to engage you guys. If you guys got any questions, to inform you guys. If you guys got any questions, like today we're talking about injector cups. If you listen to any of the broadcasts today and you were able to get some type of information, Frank, not everybody knows about injector cups. Not everybody knows warning signs. Not everybody knows that you have to use the correct shop. So these lives are just to kind of share topics like this and get feedback from you guys, because we had a broadcast, when was it, last night, and we had a viewer that had some issues with a problem. So he was letting us know in the comments, and I was there to help kind of help him troubleshoot it. He was having loss of coolant, and he was losing a lot. He was losing like 2 gallons a week. High amount. So these broadcasts and live streams are here to just share information and get you guys involved. Frank, I know you join us pretty often in these broadcasts, so that's what these broadcasts are for, man. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe. So if people do have questions, or they want to watch this on the rerun, or they're looking for a shop, give us a shout. 972-225-3017. Of course, Frank, we got to plug us in there as well. And we have feedback on these live broadcasts back and forth. Some people like them, some people don't. But appreciate your question. But that's hopefully I was able to answer your question on why I'm doing these live broadcasts. So thanks again for everyone that's joined us. If we have any questions, be sure to hit us up in the chat. If you're playing this on the rerun, you got questions, we've been working hard to get to everybody's comments on the channel. So even if you don't catch us on the live broadcast, hit us up. Hit us up in the questions on the comments below, and we'll be working on it. What's up, man? Hit me up with the question. How often should you change fuel lines? I had the plastic ones. Well, fuel lines, if you're at 800,000 miles and you have issues with your fuel lines, in particular Gone Trucking, hit me up with the question, man. I'm right here. Hit me up with the question if you have that question, man. I'll be more than happy to answer it. But Stack says he says, how often should you change fuel lines? Now these fuel lines are made really cheap. These fuel lines are made out of plastic airlines, and they're ran throughout the truck. They're ran close to the truck. They're running over transmissions. They're running on top of transmissions. So they're exposed to heat. They're exposed to extreme conditions. So Fuel lines are not going to last forever. They're not made all out of steel braid and they're going to last you a really long time. These fuel lines are made out of plastic. So if you have issues, Stacks, with fuel lines already, it's not a surprise that you have to replace most of your fuel lines. In some cases, when we were dealing with the Columbias and the Century classes before they got taken over by Cascadias, it was very often we were replacing fuel lines from the actual pump all the way back to where the splitter valve is and goes down to each tank. It was very common when we replaced those. So it's not very uncommon. If you do have fuel lines that are looking bad and you have to replace it, be sure to get that checked out or replace it, because if you have one plastic fuel line go bad, more than likely you're gonna have more. Got a lot of comments coming in now. Let me try to catch up here. Go ahead with the questions if you got more of them. Frank said he just jumped on. He's an owner operator. He's pursuing to become a mechanic. Okay, thanks for joining us. What's the best advice you can give someone like myself wanting to learn? I appreciate you joining us, Frank. And you know what, man, I have a course that I'm just about to release. We're hoping to get it released by next week. So give us a shout, 972. And in this course, I'm going to be giving you everything you need to know about Detroit DD15, how to maintenance, how to service it. And we're going to be running different courses for each engine. But the DD15 you can start with. It's a very common engine that's being used across North America. And then not everybody's familiar with it. Not a lot of people are ready to get in with it. They're not ready to get their hands in it and get to work on it. So that's what I have, this course coming out for you. So hit us up, info@tatexpress.com. Send me your information so we'll be able to message you once the course is released. And this course is going to be in your phone, breakdown of what you need. So if you need valve adjustments, you can go to that chapter and it's going to show you it. So it's going to be pretty, I'm pretty excited about this. I've been pushing pretty hard to get this out, but hopefully we can get this out by next week. Frank, and just learning as much as possible, man. Our brains are like sponges. This is another reason why I like doing these broadcasts, is because we could be talking about a subject and someone chat chimes in about information. The other time we were talking about, someone chimed in about Pittsburgh Power, or how their fuel additive was cutting down on soot by 60%. So just be like a sponge, invest in as much information as you can. And these, like, if you can get one thing out of this broadcast, that's, I feel like we're kind of doing our job here. I covered some extensive information about injector cups, warning signs, what's the benefits of serviceable, non-serviceable, preventive maintenance. That type of information is going to be valuable for you when you come into the field as a diesel technician. Not everyone's going to know what are the telltale signs, what are warning signs, what engines have serviceable and non-serviceable, what are the differences, what's better. So appreciate that question. Gone Trucking says, I'm looking for an engine. It's a Cummins with a Detroit head on it. A Cummins with a Detroit head on it. So you're talking about the Detroit head. Which Detroit head? Would it be a single? Are you talking about single cam? Because a Detroit head will not bolt onto a Cummins engine. There are Cummins that went to single overhead cam. There's dual overhead cam. So what do you mean by it's a Cummins with a Detroit head? That's pretty interesting. I don't think I've heard of that. And the viewer says you're a girl. Okay, well, I notice more and more girls are coming into the trucking industry. So shout out to the women coming in the trucking industry. I've gone to many dealers and have a lot of experience, but no one wants to hire me because I own my own tools. Frank, where are you located at? What's the reason why they're not wanting to hire you on? What's your approach? What type of experience do you have? What type of resume are you building? Are you building a resume, or how are you presenting yourself? And another thing is, some of these locations might not be hiring because traffic has been different. It's been kind of like on a decline for the past couple of years, because not everyone is dealing with high rates. These rates are kind of been just really stagnant. So some of these shops are not needing the help, but I mean, somebody that's experienced like yourself, and you said you have your own tools, And if you're in an area it's in a demand for diesel technicians, kind of maybe look at it in a different approach. Make sure you're presenting yourself. When we do interviews at our shop, we definitely, how the person presents themselves, professional is something that we look for very often. Is how they're going to be acting when you work. So when you start mixing people in a shop, you definitely want to start looking at characters and how they present themselves, because those types of characters, and I'm not criticizing nobody. It could just be traffic, but hopefully you find something out there. It's a red Cummins with a green Detroit head. A green Detroit head with a red Cummins, something that could have just been painted. But off the manufacturer, that's not how they're made. Gone Trucking, Pop-Tart Gone Trucking. That's chat's talking, looking for a Cummins with a Detroit head. I don't think I've seen those before. What do I charge to replace a head gasket on a Mercedes-Benz 400 or 4000 engine? Give us a shout. We'd have to see if those heads are still good. The price on those will vary. Parts availability on those particular trucks are iffy. They stopped manufacturing those MBEs 4000s. I recall those for a long time. They were out, but give us a shout, 972-225-3017. We are offering 10% discount this month only, so make sure to use discount code TAT20. And DB, I would definitely recommend, let us look at it. Let us try to get all the parts that's needed accurately so that we know what it's going to cost, because if we just pop off an estimate and then we of course need to tear down and there's parts that are not available or parts that are not reusable, we'll definitely change the price at the end. Pop-Tart Gone Trucking says it's in the Peterbilt. How is that head going to change the engine? I thought Cat gone to Cat Cummins Detroit is possible working. I'd have to look at what engine you're talking about, Pop-Tart. Yes, it's on a YouTube video of a Detroit head that has a Cummins motor. And I was wondering how it's possible, because I've been through every engine made after the 80s. Here's a link. Check it out. Joe Trucking Market. I'll check it out. I don't know. Is it a new engine or the old engine? Is it an engine that they're producing new, or is it something that's old? I'll take a look at it. Let me see what you're talking about before we end the broadcast. 2015. If it's a modified truck, more than likely, if it's modified, it's not going to be readily available, or it's not something that you're going to be able to find if somebody built it on their own. Yeah, I'm not seeing nothing on that. Yeah, I don't see anything on that. I'll look it up though. I'll look it up, Pop-Tart. Appreciate you sharing that. If it's a modified truck or a custom engine, yeah, you're not going to find that. Custom stuff is pretty tough to keep up with. There's a lot of people that want to go custom, or they want to go modified. Every time you go modified, with my experience, you definitely going to go, if you go aftermarket, or you're trying to increase horsepower and just make more power and mod it out, you're going to start putting more strain on the truck than what it was designed for, and you can definitely cause some problems on it. So I notice when you're dealing with OEM, it's best just to stay OEM, stay stock, use OEM parts, and keep on moving, because you start adding some other stuff, definitely can cause some problems. So appreciate everyone that joined us. How do you get started? Just keep on asking. Where are you at, Frank? Where are you at in the industry? It's on the old Cummins. Pop-Tart says, yeah, man, that's gonna be not a modified, but a custom engine. So that's not gonna be a popular engine. It's gonna be hard to find. Appreciate everyone that's joined us this evening. If you're in the DFW area and you're looking for service, give us a shout, 972-225-3017. We specialize in OEM repair. We have fleet services, so if you need some help during the end of the year, the holiday season, where You have a lot of technicians that take off for vacation, which is fine. And you need some work to get out, give us a shout. 972-225-3017. And if you're in our area, you're close enough, we can offer pickup and delivery. So give us a shout. Frank's in Washington. Okay. Thanks for watching us out there in Washington. I would definitely keep trying out there to try to get into the industry. If you have experience as a diesel technician, and ask them straight up, hey, why aren't you considering me? Are you guys looking for help? Are you guys looking to add on? Do you need help? Maybe the dealers don't need help. As I mentioned, sometimes they'll have more technicians in line ready to go, or they might not have the work. How long did it take me? Well, I've been dealing with engines for a long time. I've been dealing with engines since I was a child. I think the first engine that I worked on was on a Ford F-150, and it was a straight six. This is an inline six. They don't even make inline sixes or they don't even put inline sixes. Or you know what? I think they went back to the EcoBoost. I think the EcoBoost is inline six. So anyway, inline six was the first one. I've worked on a lot of engines. I first got introduced to a diesel engine when I was in the military. I was 18 years old. I got deployed, and it was exercises out in Korea, and they were using deuce and a halves, and that's the first time I got introduced to the diesel engines. I was used to gasoline engines, so when I saw how big the diesel engines were, I was really interested in it, especially when I found out they weren't even using spark plugs, because I was used to gasoline, 2-stroke, 4-strokes. Now when I recognized diesels and they didn't even have spark plugs, that's where I really kind of took off. I really looked into diesel. I worked when I got out of the military. I worked with a buddy that was in the industry. I was really just helping him run his shop, but I kind of learned of how not to run a shop. And he had some trucks as well, so I was helping him move trucks. We were dealing with trucks as well. Mechanics were in place. Then over time, I just kind of worked with different people at the time, and started off doing oil changes, and then just kind of evolved from there. Always been mechanically inclined, always into mechanics, so understanding diesels was pretty simple to me. If you have that type of drive, Frank, if these diesel engines or this engine mechanics is really easy to you, then keep moving forward with it. Maybe not try just only dealers. Won't you go to smaller shops to see if smaller shops might need help? Because some of those smaller shops, they might not have technicians that have all their tools. So you might be able to bring some value to their shop if they're dealing with technicians that don't have all the tools, because it is tough to get into the industry, especially if you don't have tools. And you saying you have tools. Veteran here too, Marine, that's badass. I appreciate your feedback. I've learned a lot through your videos and still refer back to everything Freightliner. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate that feedback, and I'm glad that you were able to get something from my videos, man. Appreciate everyone that's joined us this evening. Frank, keep it up, man. It's not gonna, if getting in, you're gonna be able to get in, man. Just keep on moving. Everyone that's joined us this evening, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. If you're catching this on the replay and you got questions or you want to give us some feedback, hit us up in the comments section. We're going to be doing more broadcasts, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you're notified and you don't miss a broadcast. Guys, let me know what you think about this evening broadcast, about today's subject. Let me know where you're watching from. Hit us up in the comments below. We're gonna end this broadcast this evening. Again, thanks for everyone that's joined us, all the questions, all the concerns that popped up. We'll see you guys next time. Be safe. Be safe out there. See you guys.